welcome back to my channel. This is Gamer Dom, and yep, I said I was never going to buy any more tanks, and of course what did I do? Went out and bought more tanks. Yeah, I've got no willpower. I hold my hand up and say I have no willpower. So the marathon was running before Christmas, was the opportunity to, in theory, win the SU-130PM Russian Tier 8 Premium Tank Destroyer for free. Now, reality, unless you have absolutely no life at all and you just are a saddo, just going to sit there at your computer for, it was only 10 days or something you had to do this in, you have very little chance of getting it. Most people, I guess, like me, would have earned a decent percentage off it, where you thought, well, I don't mind spending that money on it. I got 50%, and I'm, you know, I'm actually jolly pleased I bought this. Spoiler alert, I love this vehicle. I think it's one of my favourite, it's become one of my favourite vehicles in the game. It's called the SU-130PM, but everybody knows it as the Russian Skorpion because it basically is a Russian version of the Skorpion G. Yeah, that's the closest comparison. We'll have a look at it in a minute in terms of side by side, but yeah, that's the reality of this thing. It's a semi, well, it's a turreted tank destroyer, Tier 8 Premium, obviously. Does not rotate the turret all the way around. That's one of its main weaknesses, I would suggest. Comes with a big boomstick, and that's one of the fun things on this thing. I don't know about you, I get childishly excited by the big boom that happens when you fire your gun. This 130mm gun is rated as a Tier 10, and it feels like it. 4.41 rate of fire, 243 standard penetration, 320 if you reach into your pocket for heat, and 65 with HE, which is quite an effective HE round against lightly armoured vehicles. But it really is the alpha that makes this thing stand out. 520 standard alpha, 660 with HE. DPM's not bad, just with nothing else. 2294 is very nice. Dispersion 0.35 and aim time of 2.3. On the paper looks nothing particularly special, but I've got a good crew here. Okay, I'm going to caveat that they're on their third I can't say that, third skill, and they got brothers in arms. But even so, I don't find that this tank is as inaccurate as those numbers would tend to suggest. Equipment wise, I've got rammer, obviously. I've got enhanced gun lane drive and binos to increase that view range. The impact of that decent crew and the gun rammer and the gun lane drive is to reduce the aim time down to 1.88 and dispersion of 0.31, which is actually very good indeed. My damage per minute is up to 2,839. I'm sure people can pimp that out even further, but that's pretty reasonable if you ask me. Survivability, well, it doesn't really have any. It's one of the lower hit points of Tier 8's, 1,100 hit points. Armour is 20, 15, 8. I mean, this survives on its mobility and stealth. You don't want to get into a brawl with this thing, that is for damn sure, because 20mm pen means pretty much everything you'll come up against will auto pen you, which is not friendly. Mobility is where one of its strengths for sure. It's quite lightweight, only 25 tons or so, 400 horsepower engine, 16.29 power ratio and 65 top speed, 20 in reverse, and hull traverse is 44 with this crew in it. So yeah, I have got some perks there which help that. So yeah, very good at turning round quickly, traversing on the spot, and pretty reasonable about getting into a position where it can influence the game. I've got camo on this. I've got some camo on my crews here, giving me nearly 30% concealment when in stationary in the bush, the 20 when I'm moving. So not bad camo at all. We'll see that compared to the Skorpion G, but I feel it's well, I know it's better, much better. View range, I think it's 360 or something base view range. I've got it up to 479 with the binos and a decent crew, and you know, it's a viable TD camper to hide at the back and boomstick away. It's a really fun tank to play. I've enjoyed it immensely. To say, it has become one of my favourite tanks in the game in very short order, which is a bummer if you didn't buy it. But I have no doubt, Wargaming being Wargaming, that this thing will come up for sale at some point in the next year or so. Probably a lot cheaper than the packages we had to spend to get it. Even though we got lots of goodies with it too. So we got the special camo and what have you that came with it. So anyway, enough kerfuffle. Let's go and have a look at it. How it compares side by side with the Skorpion G, and then into some games. So let's compare the SU-130PM to the Skorpion G, the tank it's most closely associated with. So you can see right away the Russian TD wins out on alpha, extra 30 average alpha, but the German has slightly better penetration with the standard rounds, only 3mm. Also rate of fire is better in the Skorpion, 4.92 versus 4.6. But let's have a look at DPM. Yeah, so DPM, it just inches out 2410 as opposed to 2393, but that's not really a huge amount. So the slightly faster rate of fire on the Skorpion is somewhat outweighed by the extra weight of the shell when it hits. But that does mean you do need to, since you're relying on that hit much more keenly, you need to make sure every shot counts with the SU, more than the Skorpion G probably, but the numbers are not huge. Yeah, slightly faster reload on the Skorpion G, 0.84 slower in the Russian thing, but the turret traverse, or the gun traverse, is much better on the SU. I mean, the Skorpion obviously goes all the way round, so that sort of mitigates that somewhat, but the Russian tank is 31.29, whereas the German is 27.38. Gun depression exactly the same. Gun traverse limits, well, that doesn't apply to the Skorpion, as we said. It does a fully rotated turret. Aim time is one of the things that I've seen people initially talking about the SU, was that its accuracy is not particularly great, but it's still pretty reasonable. 2.21 aim time and 0.34 dispersion. But the Skorpion G wins out on 2.01 aim time and 0.29 accuracy or dispersion. However, I have to say, I don't know if it's a Russian bias or what, but I find the SU hits the target more reliably than I do with the Skorpion G. Yes, sure, I've had some absolute monster games in my Skorpion G, but every so often it'll just completely screw you over. Well, it screws me over anyway, and I've got a decent crew in it, and still every so often it just dinks shots all over the place. Now that's not to say the SU doesn't, but I feel it's more consistent somehow. You don't get the big ups and the big downs. You just get a fairly standard, performance from the gun. That's my personal feeling. The Russian tank gets an additional 50 hit points. Oops, come away from that, don't want that, thank you. Extra 50 points, hit points compared to the Russian vehicle. Also, I mean, it makes no difference at all really for armor profile, but the hull armor, excuse me, on the Skorpion is 10 better on the front, 1 on the side and 12 on the rear, but you're talking nothing really. I mean, even the Skorpion's only got 30 mils. Weight wise, the Russian tank is lighter by quite a lot actually. Now that's good for speed and acceleration, but not so good if someone's ramming you, right? Also, the engine power on the Skorpion G is higher, but the power ratio isn't much different, 17 for the Skorpion and 16.67. That's because of the weight difference, and the weight and the engine sizes sort of counteract each other, so they actually finish up pretty much the same. However, I do think, I don't know if it's ground dispersions or what it is, but I find the Skorpion G quicker going up hills, up slopes than the Russian vehicle. Top speed 65 for the Soviet tank, destroyer 60 on the Skorpion. Again, you don't really notice it. It's not many games where you're going absolutely flat out. for long periods it tends to be rushing from one bush to another, or one position to another. Hull traverse is better on the Russian. It whips around pretty quickly. 37.55 is not bad at all. Concealment values, well, actually the Russian is better, and I have to say that again has been my experience. I find the Skorpion G, even pimped out, and remember this value also includes the sort of paint on camo, which you can't take off the Skorpion G, and it's still the Soviet vehicle is 5% better camo value, concealment value, when stationary in a bush, and that's my experience. Now admittedly, once you've fired, that camo value drops very rapidly, but still it's pretty damn good. And even moving, the Soviet vehicle is nearly 2% better camo than the Skorpion G, and again that's my experience. I found the Skorpion G gets spotted all the time, whereas the Soviet one seems to hide quite well. View range identical, 360, and signal range is nobody cares about, was also identical. So there you go. That's the side-by-side comparison, and it's an interesting one. It is a good comparison. These two are very, very similar. If I'm honest, I prefer the SU. Okay, so we got an all-8 game on Westfield to show this puppy off with. I've got a very good Brigetto. I'm going to head down this end here, see whether I can fire some shots down into the 9-0 line. You can see this thing moves pretty well. I mean, it's a pretty fast, nimble TD really. It's not the fastest, it's definitely not the slowest either. All round pretty good, I think. Pretty average. I'm going to sit here, use the bushes. Where's our Pantera going? Oh. There's our problem with the turret traverse for a start. Haven't got many heavies up there in the middle, that's the only worrying bit. There's the gun in action. 587 on that Pantera. Love it. And the boomstick speaks. Cool. Bit worried about my backside here. I don't knock down trees. Oh, it's only one RT, but even so. Just come around this way and help these guys out. Revoluze. Got a bit cocky there, mate. Nice shots on those boys up there. Track the AX. That building's right in the wrong place for me. That's better. Tracked him and took 502, only 5.2, and he is in trouble. Can we get another shot before he pulls back? Ah! Wasted. Wasted. Whoa, fell off the cliff. Shit. That was pretty stupid. I was trying to pull back into the other bush. I fell off the cliff. Well, of course I meant to do that. That was entirely expected. Now you can see this thing does suffer climbing up the hills. heavies finish off the enemy heavies. Our Type 5, KV5. He's doing okay over there, but he's got a lot of competition. Ah, come on up. Try your luck again, Sonny. Just couldn't. I think he's going to come up around there. Yep, there he is. Got him. I'll teach him. Let's push. There's another Skorpion G, a Borsig, and that ISM out there. Again, you can see the tardiness of the grunt isn't really there going up slopes, but the gun certainly is, isn't it? Oh, the Skorpion's pulled right back. Good. Now we've got to be careful here. We could have this game in the bag, but on the other hand, very, very, very wrong. Is there anybody left TD wise? There isn't. Take him down. Duck back round. There still is an RT, so we've got to be careful of him. Come wide, I think. See if we can get a shot on that Skorpion G down there. Maybe I'll have to push on. I think he's pulled right back. So you're going down the hill. Lovely speed. Where is their RT? What have they got left? TD, W, WZ's all the way back there. He's down there, about to die. Oh, there he is. Get him, that's good. I'll leave the KB on the cap, and I'm going to see if I can cut off that Baguetto from coming back. I've got two on the cap now. And he's down. I think I've done my job. Ah, going back into the cap. Okay, so there you go. You see the SU-130 in action, and I have to say it's sort of that mid-range engagement, mid-touching on long, extremely long. Then the accuracy seems to drop off, as far as I'm concerned. But at that sort of range, pretty good. I'll open the boxes later. So that was only a second class. We got fighter, fire for effect, bruiser, and tank sniper. Finished up, well, second on the team. That's all right. 3,149 damage, 4 kills, 1,054 base XP is a nice return. 9 shots, hit with 8, penned with 7 for that 3,000 damage. Got 800 assistance as well with the holiday ops. Well, 93,000 credits, then another 37 with the holiday ops. Didn't need any premium at all, just shy of 100,000, 99,000 profit, even with the chocolate consumed. I think, was I using chocolate? No, not chocolate, combat rations. So yeah, combat rations basically took out the holiday ops thing. It still made a reasonable return. The shells are more expensive than they are on the Skorpion G, so your profit level is not as high, that is for sure. 2,371 XP, again with 600 from the holiday ops, would have been 1,500 without a premium account. So we chance our luck and try again. I do enjoy this tank. It is genuinely one of my favourites in the game right now. Okay, so worst played map in the game. This is Lakeville? There we go. All tier 8 again. Now, I know people say, so what about tier 10s then, Dom? Well, you know, it does okay in tier 10s. You just, you know, the honest truth is I played a couple of games to record and they've just not really been anything special. I've sat at the back, pipped away, done a bit of damage. It's all been okay. Cushy. But is it that impressive to show as a game? No. I mean, this gun can compete with 10s. It can. I'm taking a risk here, but our guys have seen nothing. Now they've seen something. It can complete with tier 10s, so it's not awful that way. I took a blind shot there from somebody, I'm sure, because I wasn't spotted. So yeah, it can compete with high tier tanks because of the gun, but of course the trouble is you do have to play a lot more circumspect and restrained, because you're going to get spotted more than anything else, and the thing you can't afford to do in this tank is get spotted. There's a lot of blind shots coming in at this position. I might have to move in a minute. Assume I'm spotted, because almost certainly I will have been. Oh no, I haven't been. What's that E25 doing down there? Oh, there's Emil's just killed himself. Missed. That was a terrible shot, Dom. Really? I wasn't spotted? You've got to be kidding me. Come on, stick a bit further out. Can't hit him there for sure. And then of course he comes through when I'm not looking. Oh, there's an enemy Sioux. Come on, you know you want to. Got spotted that time. So enemy SU. There's that T25-2 somewhere around here. Ah, somebody else got him. T25-2's probably pulled back then. Oh, he's dead. Okay, he's definitely pulled back then. Right, let's go. So again, very static game, but you are a lightweight TD, so you know, kind of that goes with the territory, right? But what's so nice about this, when you do hit, you hit bloody hard. Both their both their heavies are down the valley. Damn. Lined him up, but couldn't get the shot away. Your aim time's a little bit tardy, so you do have to be going after the TD. Yeah, it looks like he is. I'm going to go after the heavy then. And he's down, and that is it. So, there we go. Job done. So, there you go, that was the third class. We got fighter, we got fire for effect, finished up third on the team, yeah, fourth on the team, sorry. 2,900 damage, 4 kills, 895 base XP, fired 9 shots, hit with 7, penned with 7, 81,000 credits with the booster for the holiday ops, over 113, but again, shell cost plus the combat rations brought me down to just 80,000. Profit would have been 42,000 without, and 2,000 experience would have been 1,300 with without premium account. So another victory, nothing spectacular, but you know what? You know, it's down to personal choice, right? So if you like your TDs in the camp at the back kind of variety that like to just inch their way forward a bit conservatively, not take too many risks, certainly early doors, and just have a big gun that really dishes out the pain, then this SU-130 is outstanding. I like it a lot. I think just the fun of just taking chunks out of everybody. And you know, I just showed you 2 tier 8 games, but I've competed in tier 10s reasonably well. You know, it's not gonna the problem with it is, like all tier 8s, is your view range more than anything else. You get spotted so easily by these tier 10 heavies and tier 10 mediums. So your problem is you get spotted, and of course with 20 mils of frontal armor you are toast very, very rapidly. But if you can get yourself in the right kind of situations, again, play defensive, hide behind the front lines, snipe at what you can, this gun can deal with tier 10s, and you know, that's the fun thing with this tank. I feel that given the current matchmaking situation where tier 8s see tier 10s a lot of the time, or certainly tier 9s a lot of the time, this is a gun that can compete in those kind of matches. You don't feel like you're going in undergunned. You're still going to suffer the normal stuff of being spotted from halfway across the map and people pimped out with all kinds of specials on their tanks and firing gold. Of course, money gold doesn't really matter against this thing. You're going to get penned, whatever. But you know, it is the point. But is it worth it? I think so. If they sell it at a decent price when they do resell this with a you know, without a massive bundle that you have to buy, because the Christmas mission or pre-Christmas mission 2018 was a huge bundle of stuff that you didn't really need on top, but was a nice to have. But of course that inflated the price, and I think, you know, if this was sold at £25, £30, something like that, you know, if you're in the market, I'm not saying buy it, but I'm just saying if you are in the market to buy a tier 8 and you like a TD that likes skulking, likes hiding, but overall loves dishing out heavy pain, then it could well be this is the one for you. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that little review of this SU-130PM, the Russian Skorpion G. It's my first impressions. I've played now nearly 50 games in it, so you know it's more than the first impressions. But I'm running a 63% win rate in it, 1,773 base damage, average damage per game. It dishes out the pain, and I really like it. But that said, I've only got a second class out of it. That's the highest I've managed to do. Haven't even put first class on it yet. So clearly people are playing this thing immensely well. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give it a like, and if you haven't already done so, subscribe to the channel. In the meantime, enjoy your games, have fun, try not to take it too seriously, and I will see you again soon. This is Gamer Dom, signing out.